Welcome back, everybody, to another episode on the Monster Bass channel. My name is Brandon Stoker, and on behalf of Monster Bass, guys, we're going to be talking about a bait that you probably received in your Monster Bass bag. I almost said box, but let's be honest, guys. How cool is this new bag that they got? The new Monster Bass bag. Love it. Excited about it. Let us know in the comments what you guys think about the bag. Super cool. Love to see it. I'm going to use it for a ton of different stuff, but that's not the deal of today's episode. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a bait that was in that bag, and that is the Bass Bulletz. I think this is the Lip Ripp-R right here. So I'm going to dig this thing out in a second here, and we're going to get into this. But first off, guys, if you love this type of content, tips, tricks, how to fish a lure specifically for your Monster Bass bag, something that you got, or any other tips and tricks that you want to see on that you need to know about here on the Monster Bass channel, that's always happening. We're always putting out content for you guys to watch, helpful content to help you guys catch your personal best and have a lot of fun out there. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you like and subscribe to the Monster Bass channel. Also, guys, if you love this type of content, you love bass fishing, you love outdoors, even hunting, things like that, guys, go check out my channel. It'll be linked down below in the description. Wisconsin Wild Man. I do a ton of fishing in Wisconsin, especially just in the Midwest in general, guys, but my channel will be linked down below. Do a lot of bass fishing, a lot of different tips and tricks, things, kind of stuff like that. So I really appreciate it if you guys could take some time and hop on over there. Without further ado, we're going to get into this bait from Bass Bulletz. So I already got it out of there, guys, and we're going to kind of get a close-up on it and talk about it. Now, this bait is really one of those baits that is a little bit smaller profile, as you guys can see. Now, we'll get into up close on it and talk about it, but I really like the color on it. But this bait is small. As you guys can see, it's a smaller profile bait. It almost looks like a crankbait slash jerkbait deal. But what you're going to want to use this bait for is a good time of the year. Now, let's think about when does a good small bait like this happen to, be effective. Now, early spring, and into the winter time is a great time for something like this, guys. Just because it's a smaller presentation, you're going to want to fish it a little bit slower, and just because those fish are lethargic, guys. It's colder water. This is a bait that I'm probably going to throw in colder water situations where the fish are a lot more finicky and they're not looking for a huge meal, something that they have to work hard to get. They're just looking for something easy, small, that they can get a hold of with not a lot of effort. They're trying to conserve their energy because that cold water has them super lethargic, so they're not looking to burn a lot of energy doing that. So something like this is a perfect presentation in that early spring, cold water temps, 40 to 45 degrees, 50. Once you get to 50 or higher, that's when you're going to want to change up the presentation on things. But this is something in that, from 40 degrees and to 50, in that range, that's probably where I'm going to be tossing this bait. And then same thing in the winter time. Once we get into that winter time when everything's cooling off, late fall, winter, once you get back down into those 40s again, that's where a bait like this is really going to work. All right, so taking a look at this up close, you guys can see that this is pretty small bait, but the color on this is really nice. Look at that color. It's called Blue Crystal. I really like this because look at how shiny that is. When you're fishing that, late fall, winter time, even like early spring, you want something shiny, something that really, stands out to the fish. Now this color is really well. Another thing, the hooks on this thing. These hooks are really sharp on there. You have a good bill on here as well. It dives like 6.5 to, I think, like 6 to 6.5 feet, so you can get down there with this bait. But it looks, as you guys can see, 3D eyes on there. It looks really well done. It's a really good quality bait as well. Something that I forgot to mention as well, guys, is it does have the rattles in it, if you can hear it rattling a little bit, but it does rattle as well. I really like that color. Super shiny, super shimmery in the water, along with that rattle. It really stands out to the fish. This is just really, overall, I'm really impressed with it. It's a really nice looking, it feels good, a really good bait. Now, how do we fish this? How do we get into fishing this little guy right here? So a lot of times, that winter time, late fall, winter time, or early spring, which is coming up here. Early spring is right around the corner for a lot of us here. We're already into going to be going into March eventually here. I mean, it's February already, or mid-February. We're going to be into March before you know it. And springtime fishing is going to be here. So something like this, like we talked about before, super finicky fish. They don't want a lot of effort to get these to get their meal. They want something small, easy to eat, not a big deal. So how are we fishing this? Well, first off, we're throwing it on a small setup. You know, medium light is probably where you're going to want to be, even a medium rod at most. But I would say probably medium light to light even. Like you're gonna, like this is a smaller bait. It does not weigh a whole lot. So a medium, even like I said, even a medium rod might be a little too beefy for this. But a medium light rod, which isn't a big deal because in this, you know, that colder water, those fish aren't gonna fight as hard anyway. So you don't need something beefy to get them out of there. But personally, how I'm gonna fish this lure and how I suggest you guys do as well is in really erratic. So a lot of jerking to it, basically like a jerk bait. It also is very, it rises very slow, this bait does. So it's gonna come up in the water column very slow. But this is a bait where, like I said, you're gonna want to, you know, pop, 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 let it sit, pop, 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 let it sit. And as the water temp, so maybe when you're getting into like 48 degrees, I'd work it a little faster, maybe give it a few pops and let it sit. But as that water temp cools off and it gets a lot colder, down to 40 degrees, even colder, that's where I'm really just gonna give this a pop, pop, you know, and just let it sit. I've talked about this before in jerkbait videos, just letting a jerkbait sit there for sometimes even 30 seconds, really giving it a good long pause. But that's something you're gonna wanna do with this bait as well. It's really no different. You're gonna wanna work it like a jerkbait, erratic actions, giving it long pauses just because of the time of the year that you're in. But like I said, what I really like about this bait is the size. I think that, you know, when you're getting into the wintertime when it's really finicky, if you throw this, you're gonna have confidence in it because you're gonna know that this is something that a fish is going to want to eat no matter what. Like it's really is the perfect size. So this is something, like I said, give it that long, you know, erratic couple pops or a pop or two, and let it sit. Give it that time. But this is something that is perfect for those cold water situations. Like I said, medium light, you know, go with whatever line you really want. You could go with, you know, you don't need a super high speed reel for a lure like this either, because this bait right here, you know, you're not trying to reef the fish in as fast as you can. You don't have a lot of vegetation year round in the wintertime. You really don't have a whole lot of anything, especially when you're fishing this thing right here. So you don't have to have a high-speed reel, crazy line, or anything like that. But like I said, medium light rod is probably where I'm throwing this, or a medium rod, something like that. Medium spinning rod would probably work even better for this. So there you guys have it. That is personally how I'd fish this little guy right here. This thing looks super awesome, but that is personally how I would fish this. I'm glad to see it in the bag now. It looks really good, and it's something that I would definitely use out on the water. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, anything about this bait or anything else with Monster Bass, leave it down in the comments below and we will respond to you guys. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode on the Monster Bass channel. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys on the next one.